LinkedIn Live. I've got a special guest star here today, Jamie Edwards. We've gotten to know each other over the last few weeks, and Jamie's into some really cutting edge front end type of LinkedIn strategies and how you can apply it to greater benefit in other areas of your professional opportunity. So with that, I'll introduce Jamie to you. Jamie, say hello and maybe give a little background.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jamie Edwards. Thanks for having me on here, Don. I truly appreciate it. Hopefully everybody's weekend was great and a good one. I just want to, for the last 12 years, I've been in different leadership roles. So I've worked for several Fortune 50 companies, building teams from the ground up, successful sales and operations teams. And unfortunately, I went from the wireless industry for 10 years to the banking industry, actually, for the last 5 years. And unfortunately, 6 months ago, I was laid off from my current financial position. And what that did was basically open my eyes to saying, you know what, I always wanted to be a career coach and start my own career coaching business. And that's exactly what I did. I took that as a time to start Jam Sessions with Jamie, which is my career coaching business, where I do one-on-one, what I call jam sessions, because I'm big into music, and I took that love for music, combining it with brainstorming jam sessions. So I do 1 hour jam sessions with job seekers who are looking to gain traction on their job search. And I do everything from resume reviews, interview preparation and practice, LinkedIn profile optimization, how to negotiate salary. And we do these 1 hour live Zoom calls. And I even make a spotlight post for every one of my clients. So everybody that books a jam session with me gets a spotlight post where I highlight them personally and professionally on my LinkedIn profile. And I let everybody know who they are, so that way they can be more visible and get noticed by recruiters and hiring managers, and hopefully get more job interviews and ultimately job offers.
Well, that sure is a lot in a little time, but it sure is impressive. And it appears to be very comprehensive. And I think it talks to what most people's challenge on LinkedIn that I've discovered is they're doing a lot of the right things in the wrong order, or they're not doing things as proficiently as they could if they got some inside information as to what other people have learned and have evolved into. So, LinkedIn, there's so little to it, but people make such a big deal about it, which is to say the platform has got nothing to do with any of us. That's Microsoft on LinkedIn. They're responsible, and that's great because I never have to think or worry about it. The other part is what they allow you to do is just talk. Now, you could talk through a post, you could talk through a LinkedIn Live, but it comes down to your voice. Right. And if you've got a voice, you've got an opportunity. Now, the question is, what will the voice deliver? And will that justify enough attention and appreciation to get engagement? So there's a two-part game. One is winning on LinkedIn, which Jamie and I can help you, and quite a few quality people if you have a chance to meet them. And that's what LinkedIn Lives are so good at, is there is no filters here. Jamie is who Jamie is. I am who I am. And it's easy for people to put a toe in the water when all they have to do is, tune in. Right. After enough tune-ins, you start getting more comfortable, and pretty soon the people on the other end become more attractive, right? So in the beginning, when you don't know anybody, it's kind of repelling when people come after you. When people just broadcast to you, right, and let it resonate and fill in wherever it needs to, and pretty soon you think two things. One is, I can do better, and I can do it easier. So what do you think, Jamie? Picking up on that?
No, you're absolutely right. I think people's biggest misconception with LinkedIn is that they feel like they should only be coming to LinkedIn if they're looking for a job. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, that might have been the way that old LinkedIn used to be, but I hear a lot of people talking about that this is LinkedIn 2.0. Things have changed. You see people talking about looking for jobs, so talking about life experiences, talking about things they've witnessed in their life. And you're seeing a whole bunch of different posts now. And like you said, Don, people are using this platform to express their voice. And that's the best thing about this platform. I don't think people realize that there's not a lot of content creators out there on LinkedIn. I want to say last time I checked, it was like definitely less than 5%, I believe, people who are actually actively making content on LinkedIn. What that means is there's a lot of opportunity for your voice to be heard. So even if you're looking for a job, I started on LinkedIn probably a little bit over 6 months. I've been on LinkedIn for 10 years, but I was actively starting on LinkedIn over 6 months ago when I was laid off, right? So I came on here and LinkedIn looked like a foreign tool to me. I had no idea what this place was. I saw people posting content and I didn't know who anybody was. I had no more connections anymore. And that's the one thing I tell people all the time is even if you have a job, or whether you're looking for a job or you have a job, continue to use LinkedIn, continue to let your voice be heard, because you never know when you're going to be in another situation where you need to connect with people, and everybody's got their niche and things that they're good at and their skill sets. And that's what LinkedIn really brings together. So I came on here 6 months ago, and the first thing I started doing was freaking out, trying to figure out what am I going to do next if this career coaching thing doesn't work out, right? And then I took a step back and said, you know what, let me just reintroduce myself to my network, to who my connections are right now. I don't remember who my connections were because I hadn't been on LinkedIn for a while. So I made a reintroduction post, introduced myself, let people know what my personal and my professional background was. And then slowly, every single day or every other day, I started posting content, taking what I knew I was good at, which is helping job seekers because of the teams I've built over the past. And I started putting tips out there. So if I can give any advice to anybody that's looking to create an audience on LinkedIn, it would be find what your niche is and just post, to have your voice out there. Figure out who you want your audience to be. What is something you're passionate about? And put that into words. Put that into your posts and know who your audience is, so that way you know who you're speaking to. And I promise you, over time, if you just continue to put posts out there, you're going to get engagement. Some people are going to gravitate to you. It may take time. Don't get discouraged if you put a post out there and you get 100 impressions, because as we all know, everyone talks about the so-called algorithm with LinkedIn, and we know that there's such a thing out there. But we don't control that. We can't control that algorithm. That's done through, like we said, LinkedIn, Microsoft stuff, things like that, right? They control that stuff. What we can control is how we express our voice, what we want to say, how we want to put posts out there. And the more that you do it and the more consistent you are, the more people are going to find you. A recruiter will find you as a job seeker. You won't have to find a recruiter. You won't have to focus on your resume wholeheartedly. You'll be getting noticed by people on LinkedIn, and they'll be looking for you. So have a voice. If you've ever thought about posting and you don't know what to say, just think of something that you're passionate about, hit that post button, and I promise you people are going to find you, and it's going to be the greatest feeling in the world once you start talking more, and you'll become a better writer over time.
Well, cool. I think that really is profound and valuable. I hope everybody was taking some notes, and maybe when the show is over, you can apply some of this directly to what you were planning on doing today and maybe have an upgrade. And, I think it's kind of interesting. There's so many dynamics and nuances to LinkedIn. The deeper you get, the richer it gets. And in the beginning, you start by yourself. You have to move into the group where the posting, the commenting, the LinkedIn lives are. But then you have to move out into yourself again, right? You got to take what it is, learn what it is, and become what the better you needs to be. To your point, as far as having a voice, my feeling is if you treat LinkedIn like a business, it'll pay you like a business. Now, if I had my own businesses and they're pretty significant and I was real proud of them. But, when I went to work, I worked all day.
Yeah.
Until I stopped working. Now, I'm on LinkedIn Live every day. Now I'm going to twice a day. If I was in an office, right, and I had a directive saying you need to communicate with so many people every day, but more importantly, what do you need? If you're not getting it, you're not talking enough, right? Don't ask one question if you don't get an answer a day, because you're wasting a day. LinkedIn is not time driven, it's action driven. So if you post every day or you post 10 times a day, you'll get 10 times more value for the 10 posts, right? Because here's a couple reasons. No one else is doing 10 a day. you got to stand out just by showing up. The other part of it is most people look at it like, I do this, I get a sale. I do this, I get a client. I get this. They're too linear. What I see is what you want to get is someone who's a thought leader, someone who's a knowledge sharer, someone who's a collaborator, and that's the key, is building relationships. And what I believe about LinkedIn Live, and that's why I'm going all in, because there's so few people doing it again, right? You got a demand that's kind of finite, right? You got 810 million people. Now you look at how is it being serviced. Well, 90+% of people don't do anything. So they're not even in the game. Now you got 10%, and that's given a lot of generosity. How many of those people really do it versus kick the tires, right? And then how many do it well? Then how many do it consistently? It gets pretty narrow. Then you move to the next level, which is LinkedIn Live, and very few people can make the bridge. So they're sitting on the other side wishing they could get there, but because of their fear, their inability to ask for help, they're in, by the way, chat's open if anybody wants to share a comment or an insight, glad to put you on the air. And it's really understanding it's you. Don't get involved. No one else controls you like you do. So the point is, if you're not getting enough, you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing enough, you're not learning enough, which means you're not getting better enough. Because here's the truth. Sure. There are people on LinkedIn who are doing it right, crushing it. And you could say, yeah, well, that's Gary Vee. That's some blah, blah, blah. Well, Gary Vee started one day with 0 on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. Right? There's a saying, a lot of people don't want to start at the beginning, but I always tell them it's only as long as you want to be there.
Yep.
Right? How fast you want to climb. And the key thing is determine what makes you do things you normally wouldn't do.
Right.
Right. If you got, if you need something, necessity seems to be the mother of invention. Right. And if you really have to get it done, there's a saying, if your why's big enough, you'll figure out the how to.
There, yes.
Right. And I wouldn't be watching TV when I need something, and I could be on LinkedIn, and especially LinkedIn Live. And the key is, there's another saying, stories sell, facts tell. Everybody wants to hear your story. Like Jamie's got a great story. And the story should be whatever it is. There's 2 stories. I made a fortune and lost it. I want to get it back. I'm going to do it better this time. Or I've never made it, but I know this is the time, right? This is when everything's going to go my way. Because here's the beauty of LinkedIn. You get to reinvent yourself to be the best you right now.
Yes.
Forget about the past. You're not taking legacy forward is wasting everything. Ask yourself what you always want to be, what you love to do, and you never had that opportunity. And when you're out, it means you're totally available to be in, to what you want to be. So, I remember talking to a young girl who missed a big part in a play. She came in second. It was like a Broadway deal, it was huge. And I just happened to go up to her and say, so what do you think? She says, I know I didn't get it because there's a better part waiting for me.
Yep.
Right? So when someone gives you the door, take it.
And,
right. So Jamie, because really I think half of this is getting out of fear, getting someone who, the saying is, if you can't do it, could we? And I think that's what everybody's got to ask themselves. Could you add a little vowels to solve the puzzle and make it easier? So Jamie, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Don, on this. Like, it talks about, it's all about stepping out your comfort zone, right? When you step out of your comfort zone and you use LinkedIn to its full ability, I love what you said about how that person didn't get that part and they said, well, there's a better part out there. That's the way job seekers should really think too. When they get themselves out there and they start getting noticed and start getting applications in, a lot of times we get rejection emails here and there and we think to ourselves, oh my goodness, somebody doesn't want me, and it makes you really upset. And I get it. Nobody wants to be rejected, right? Everybody wants to be accepted. But when you take that mindset and say, you know what, that employer just missed out on a great employee. There's a better job for me out there. I'm going to keep moving forward, and I'm going to put my foot down, and I'm going to keep going out there and creating content and communicating and engaging with other posts. You start getting into that different positive mindset, and it really changes the way you do things. And you talked a little bit about engaging on LinkedIn and doing different things in the LinkedIn Lives. You know, LinkedIn now has the audio events too. There's so many ways that you can get yourself out there on LinkedIn. I tell people all the time, if you're not feeling comfortable posting right away, that's okay. Spend an hour, couple hours if you're able to do so, and just find other people's posts that you connect with, that have the same mindset of you. Or maybe you're looking to get into a company and somebody works for that company and you see their posts. Go onto their page and engage with their content. Leave insightful comments. Get yourself noticed. The more that you put comments out there, the more that people are going to look at that comment section. They're going to see, oh, look at Jamie Edwards is commenting so much on this person's content that he must be somebody that's good to connect with. I want to know more about that person. It just it goes together. It automatically goes hand in hand. Same thing if you can get on LinkedIn Lives like this and put comments out there, or if you can be a part of audio events. You know, I do an audio event every week, a positive audio event with people where we talk about positivity, and people are on there sharing stories. You talk about sharing stories. So important. If you're stuck and thinking about where to start, look at photos on your phone. Look at content on your phone. Maybe you were on vacation. Maybe there was a time in your life where it was not a good point in your life. And there's something that reminds you of that, and you want the world to hear it. Take a picture in your phone. Think of a story that has to do with that picture. Put it on your content and tell your story. That's a great way to start if you want to start putting content out there, thinking about life experiences and what pictures bring memories to mind and how you can share the story with the world. That's something, Don, you keep talking about, is sharing your story, right? Having your voice out there. Like we've said this whole conversation, there's so many ways to get yourself out there. You can do LinkedIn Lives. You can start your own audio event and have people come to you. You can create flyers on Canva and put it out there and let people know that your event's coming soon. We have so many creative tools that we didn't have years ago that can really get your voice to be heard. And I 100% agree with you, Don. You should be using everything that you can to really express that voice and get noticed, and you're going to start seeing that you're going to be a lot happier once you start engaging more, getting yourself out there. And I don't like to brag or anything like that, but when I started over 6 months ago, I hardly had probably less than 1,000 followers, and now I'm almost at 16,000. And that's just a testament to just grow, just putting stuff out there, growing, making sure my audience knows what I'm trying to portray, and just getting myself out there as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn is trying to make it as easy as possible. They're trying to make it give you a tailwind, right? Because the platform has so much value versus what they charge. But at the same time, to monetize it is difficult.
Right.
And LinkedIn gives you reach when you do the right thing. So when your content is something that aligns with their goals, which is to get more people on, keep more interaction, generate more relevant content. And, I go with the probability side all the time. I would rather be on every day and be available when that person, you're working on everybody else's time frame.
Yes.
Right? They don't care what you need, what you want, and the needier you are, the less attractive you become.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, when you post, it may be about you, but it's for them. I would never post, had an awful day today, I can't believe my headache, blah, blah, blah. You know what a downer that is?
Right.
People will run from that. But if you say, 15 years ago to this day, I just closed my biggest business deal. And it all started from this, because here's the 3 things you can only provide on LinkedIn is either education, entertainment, or inspiration, or all 3 or 2 of the 3. So when people leave you better than they found you, they want more of you, right? When you're giving out $20 bills for 10, there'll be a line that never quits.
Right.
Right. So find a way not to just get even, because you may be wrong and you're stretching. Why not double the value up front? And here's the key. You got to turn somebody from a sampler to a buyer.
Yes.
Whatever it is. And at a certain point, you got to make that bridge where there's a payment and a commitment. It doesn't matter where you start. It's just that you got away from the casual, informal, blah, 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 versus, hey, let's plan to get serious. And I think that really what underlies everything we're talking about is having a strategy, having a plan. If you're working somewhere the night before or whatever, wouldn't you schedule your day, or wouldn't your day already be scheduled? Right? How many times you look at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, lunch, blah, blah, blah. I got a full day here. Well, when you go to LinkedIn, and now you're working for yourself, which means you can take the day off and you can have 100 holidays if you want, right?
Very
and
true.
You think to yourself, why would I work for some stranger who doesn't have any vested interest in my life per se? And when I'm working for myself, I do a post at 9 and I come back around 3, see what happened. Right? I would be posting. I'd be doing LinkedIn Live it'd be like a reality show.
24/7.
8 o'clock episode, 9 o'clock. Hey, by the way, I'm having breakfast and I just thought of something. Doesn't matter.
Right.
LinkedIn doesn't limit you. That's what people have to understand. You know, they don't tell you can't do 20 LinkedIn Lives. And you know what? If you do them right, no one's going to object. You'll never hear somebody say you're working too hard, you're doing too many of these, because here's the selfish part that most people don't appreciate. It's the feedback that turns your content and you into, it's like a polishing stone. Right. So the more you apply yourself and you get one comment or one person, and that gives you some awareness, and you keep minor adjustments over time, incrementally compound. And all of a sudden you distinguish and differentiate yourself because you're on your own platform.
Right.
Right. And what you'll be considered is, hey, that guy's a busy LinkedIn Live guy, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Or that guy don't quit. You know, and people love to back people who show up early, stay late, you know, and do it with a smile, you know, and then bring a lot of people with them. Because that's really the key, is how many people can you build the bridge with to get them to the other side where they're not struggling. But more importantly, LinkedIn is a two-step thing. You got to be good at LinkedIn just to get what you need from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
A lot of people are professional LinkedIn. They got nothing to show. They got nothing to offer. They got nothing to do. So where did it all lead? What they're hoping for is either divine intervention, or along the way, it'll come together with them, or they'll be so impressive that people forgive. They got no experience, no talent, and no personality. And those are the things. So get yourself right. There is no losing, only learning if you allow yourself to be teachable. So why don't you build on that, Jamie?
Yeah. So talking about, like, you know, content creating and things like that. If there's any suggestion or any advice that I could give small business owners or career coaches like myself, right? And let's be honest, there's a lot of career coaches out there. I feel like probably every other person could be a career coach on LinkedIn when I see people's profiles. But the biggest mistake that I see people making when they're a career coach or they're a small business owner is they strictly use their content to just sell their services. Mm-hmm. They post, right? I see it on your head. Yep. They use their content and all they do is talk about, here's what I do to sell my services. Here's what I offer. Here's my price. Sign up now. I can get you 6 figures in 2 months. You know, you see all these things, right? That doesn't work anymore on LinkedIn. People don't gravitate to the services you're selling. People find people. People make connections when you have a heart, when you provide free advice, and when you let your personality shine. People don't want to be sold on services anymore. They don't want to hear that. That comes second. That comes over time, as you provide free advice to people, as you let people see who your personality is and what you're like, on a face-to-face connection. So that's the biggest thing I see. I see a lot of people, some people that I'm connected with, where it seems like every post is just, here's what I'm offering, and here's a special price that I'm doing this for, and here's my services. Make sure you get those services now before things fill up. Well, those posts, when you look at the engagement, they don't do very well in engagement. Why? Because people just scroll past because they feel like they're being sold something. They don't feel like they're connecting with a human anymore. And that's the main thing I do with my content is, yeah, I have a signature at the end of all my posts talking about if you need any services, I'm here for you. But all my posts are talking about trying to help job seekers, posting positive stuff, things like that. They don't have anything to do with my business or my career coaching. And then what happens is, when people see my stuff, they reach out to me and they say, hey, I see that you're a career coach, that you do this for job seekers. Can you tell me a little bit more about your services? And then I'm happy to go ahead and get into detail. I will never sit here and force services down anyone's throats, because that's not what people want these days when it comes to LinkedIn. There's a lot of free advice out there. You can find free advice on Google. You could search how to have a great interview, and you could find 100 articles for free. So why should somebody pay for your services if they can find that stuff for free? It's because they connect with you as a human. They see the value in the one-on-one coaching that you do, and they want to be a part of what you're offering at that point. So that's just one thing of advice I have out there. The other thing I would tell you, we talked about engaging with people's content. Anytime you make content out there, what I see a lot of people do is they create content and they get 100 people commenting on their stuff, and they don't leave one comment on any one of those people that engaged with them. That's a huge no-no. We call that posting and ghosting, right? You create a post and then you disappear and you ghost. Make sure if people are taking the time if people are taking time out of their day to communicate with what you're saying out there, you should be able to respond to those comments and either thank them for leaving a message on your post or coming back with an insightful comment because they're taking the time to leave one on your stuff. That's something that I do a lot of times. You'll always see me when I have a bunch of comments on my post. I always try to make sure where I can to comment on every single person's comment, because I appreciate when people leave stuff on my content. It makes me feel good. It makes me know that they took the time because they like what I'm having to say to them and what I'm bringing to the table. So those are a few things that I could let just content creators know, and small business owners and career coaches. I feel like there's just so many ways that we can make things better on LinkedIn, and it's really a grounds for being able to help people, being able to provide free advice. I mean, Don, you do coaching and consulting, and you have your own thing that you do, right? And maybe you could help me out and other people. And if I'm not able to use your services, maybe I can find people in my network that can use your services, right? That's the power of LinkedIn. That's how we all connect together. That's why LinkedIn is a people connector, as I call it, not necessarily a service connector. That will help too, but people connecting with people, and then eventually you being able to share what you can offer people, and that's how people gravitate.
Yeah, I think that's got a lot of, again, info in a small period of time that's really relevant and easily to apply. It all comes down to you, and it comes down to your choices. You attracted whatever you have based on what you put out there, and the key is to keep refining your message so it gets more relevant and aligned to those people who you want to work with. Because here's the thing, a lot of people have no business.
True.
A lot of people have business that chose them. Not very many people have business with people they chose. So just because someone says, I've got money, you've got time, I want you, that puts everybody in an uncomfortable position, because that's the physical world, right? This world is, let's do something today, and if it works, let's think about something tomorrow. Too many people get ahead of themselves and let's put a program together.
Yeah.
Well, it's like any relationship. People want to be courted. People
Right.
want to be dated. People want to be impressed. People want to be taken to nice places around nice people.
Right.
And on LinkedIn, it is that on a professional social level, if you allow it to be, is you get benefit by third party validation and more importantly by association. So if I say,
Yeah.
hey, I think you're a great guy, I know a gal who's just killing it on LinkedIn, you two should get together. Well, pretty soon me knowing that lady makes me look a little bit better. Me helping that lady makes me look better to her. And all it was a text or a LinkedIn message to say, hey, I just put this together. And I think you're absolutely right, Jamie, because where my focus now is completely LinkedIn Live. Because I look at it like if you were an actor and you're on a Broadway show, can you make a movie? Can you do a
Yep.
TV show? You know, whatever you're into, you got to finish and you got to be as strong as you can.
Right.
But the other thing is being a connector, because that's what people value, right? Is people.
Right.
Information's a dime a dozen. Your classes, I guarantee you, not the, I mean, in general, not just yours, Jamie, but all your programs can be found everywhere with a lot of other people.
Right.
Right? So nothing is unique except yourself,
Right.
except your ability to get people to do something they wouldn't or couldn't have done without you. And that's where your value comes in, because now you're adding value to receive value
Yes.
instead of asking for value on the if come that I can give you back at one way or another. And that's not fair,
Right.
right? You need them and you need them to pay you. And there's no guarantee that they're going to get their money back. But worse, they're going to get distracted by having to work with you,
Mhm.
right? Because if you say, hey, I'll give you 5 hours of my time a week, what you're saying, I'm going to take 5 hours of your time too.
Yes.
Right? So it's not like given. If I say, give me $10, here's 2 gallons of milk. Well, hell, you got milk, I got money, right? But if I got money and you got nothing except a hope that one day you'll get the money somewhere, that's what's
Right.
so weird about it, because time will either expose you or promote you. There's no
Yes.
running from it. And anything you build today could pay off tomorrow. And here's what I hope for everybody. You do so much good for so many people, and you got mountains of goodwill that you never have to source, right? It's so great if you can help people and all of a sudden you become successful for just that opportunity and capability. And that's why I'm telling people out there, save a lot of time, hitch up with the right person, the right group, or create the right group for yourself. Buy it, join it, sell it, whatever you have to do, but don't do it alone. It's like trying to go after a gold mine with a pick and a shovel. What I would do is I bring in the biggest contractors in the world and give them a hunk of it and get it
Right.
done. Because that's what, if you had a gold mine, the only thing you want to do is drill deep, drill wide. You don't want to be drilling a little here and drilling a little bit there and hanging out over there, because if someone was paying you, they wouldn't pay you that long.
Right.
Doing it that way. So anyways, there's the opportunities there. So if people say LinkedIn doesn't work, it doesn't work if you don't work it. And
Right.
you don't work well. So let's just make that clear, because I can give you oodles of people who are just crushing it. Like, 800 million people. All you got to do is get your clear message. But here's the thing. It's like a drop in the ocean if you do it here and there and once in a while. You got to
Right.
mobilize. If I felt that all it took was whatever it took to get on the other side and be on the right side, 18, 20, it's like if someone tells me the check's in the mail and I believe them, right? I'll work between now and then to make sure that check goes into the bank. And LinkedIn has that ability. And every time you're sitting there, there's another saying, everything you do either takes you closer or further away from your goal, right? Everything you eat, everything you watch, everybody you're with, it's a plus or minus as you go. And if you ask yourself, can I afford to be watching this football game right now? right? When I could be doing a LinkedIn Live, even if only one person sees it, because at the end of the day, it's only one. That's all you need. That's all you can handle at one time. You might get another one real quick, but the point is, focus on the one. I've had 2 or 3 people in my life that came into it, changed my whole world forever. That's all I needed. LinkedIn's no different. And here's the key. Be a prize for someone.
Yes.
Be someone that says, wow, this person, when I see him, makes my life better. I feel better. You just sense it, because ultimately it's not what people think, it's what people feel, and it's heartfelt,
Yes.
right? Because people want to know you really care. There's a saying, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And by sharing that up front, and it's easy, because a lot of stuff is just universal that needs a little personalization. I got templates for everything. Anytime I write a nice message, I save it, right? And I know I can bring it back with a little bit of adjustment, but that takes the hesitancy, is like, oh, geez, I got to think of something. I got to type it out. Once you hear your own self excusing yourself, that should be a sign to say, hey, let's fix this. Right? Am I too lazy? I'm not motivated? Again, go back to the why. Go back to who's in your family and ask yourself, what do they need that I can't get them right now? Right? And that alone would say, if you can't do it for yourself, do it for other people who, in a lot of ways, are pretty more valuable than yourself to yourself. And then here's the beauty of it. Everything turns, because when the money starts coming in, the success shows up. But more importantly, people may be talking about money, but they're concerned with your happiness.
Yes.
Right? And if you're coming across that, hey, I crushed it today. I met 3 new people. I'm putting this together. Boy, I'm so happy. Your partner's going to be happy. Your kids are going to be happy, because everything is like you drop a little rock in a lake. It doesn't go down. It ripples.
Yep.
Right? And then they like that stuff, right? So they're going to do everything they can to encourage and support you and be your fan. But if you're sitting around, hey, nothing happened today, this person didn't show up, pretty soon it's like, hey, you're bringing us down, plus you're not doing that.
Right.
Get opportunity, don't complain, give us some good news from the front. Tell us when the turn is going to come. That's why what you do is come up with, here's when the check's in the mail. Right? It's going to happen, but hey, between now and then, and that's when you bring support in.
Yep.
Right? That's when you say, here's what I need. During this time, I got to have this time or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And here's the other thing. They become part of it. They take ownership in it. True. Right? Now it's a whole family team thing. And if we win, we're going to Disney World for a week. Right?
Enough. Yeah.
Something like that. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, boom, boom, bang. So I know we talked longer than we anticipated, but we got caught up, and it was great information. Hope everybody out there enjoyed it. Look forward to our next LinkedIn Live. Get hold of Jamie or myself if you want to learn more, just to connect with us, and we're open to supporting others. Jamie, any final words?
No, I think this was a great conversation. If I could just say one thing, just to summarize this all, it's that bring your true self to LinkedIn every day. Don't play a facade on LinkedIn. People can see that. Be the same person you are, maybe that you are on other social media platforms. And I use this acronym RAG, R-A-G. Be real, be authentic, and be genuine. RAG. You put those things all together, you're going to do well on LinkedIn, and you're going to love being on this platform. It's my go-to platform now at this point, and I never would have thought that was the case 6 months ago, but this is how I use LinkedIn now, and I love it. And this has been a great conversation, Don. I appreciate your time having me on your live today. And yeah, no, that's pretty much all I have to talk about today. If you need to reach me for any reason, or if you have any questions about what I do with Jam Sessions with Jamie, don't hesitate to send me a DM or just say hi to me. Connect with me. If you're on this LinkedIn Live and we're not connected, just say hi. Let's have a conversation. Let's just talk and get to know each other better. That's what this is all about. Let's connect as people.
Sounds great. Feel free to share with friends who may benefit from what we just did. and look forward to being a great source of information going forward. Thank you, and we'll talk.